And okay, we are underway. This is session 9 of our Infinite Power of the Infinite Purple Spark sessions, where we're learning to an evolution of the healing and energy and the power of the violet flame, combined with the scientific methods and spirituality and healing methods of the power of eight. And from those two ideologies, this group in this situation and this was born. And it's just kind of grown, and I have been shown some different things from some different masters, Saint Germain originally, but Kuan Yin most recently, and she has evolved this meditation and this energy immensely for me. Um, it got, I don't know, I think I mentioned or touched on this a little yesterday or last week, but I had a moment recently where I knew where the roots of this group was and how it was founded off the power of eight. And I asked my guides, and I reached out in a meditation. I said, "Hey, am I supposed to be going back to this traditional way of teaching? Am I supposed to go back to that traditional power of eight and this violet flame and these energies, or am I twisting this to meet it?" And I got a really quick response from Kuan Yin. Immediate response is she says, "No, I did not show you this new method for you to teach the old ways. This method was provided to you to show this new way of doing it, because there's going to be needs for multiple ways to access this energy. And this way may not resonate with everybody. So just continue doing what you're doing, continue teaching the method I taught you, and that those that will resonate, those that will need to see it will come to it. And those that need to find this energy through different means will find the different means. So don't try and categorize it, and just continue on. And that gave me a lot of hope and rejuvenation with this, and confirmed that, once again, we're on the right path here. And like I say, at every session, this is not me. I was just chosen, or not even chosen. I don't like that word. I just interacted with Kuan Yin. I interacted, and she introduced this energy to me. This energy is inherent to all of us. I've even read been the last two books that I'm reading. One was The Shaman's Path, and then the one I'm reading now is The Raw Contact, teaching the Law of One. And they are everything keeps. I mean, I know we've talked about this. For those that have been here from the start, we've talked about these incarnations of purple and the purple energy presenting itself in many different ways, through plants, through signs, through messages, through images, through whatever. And it just keeps reaffirming and empowering. And where we're going to go today, and what we touched on last week and introduced last week, is the latest incarnation, which is the infinite purple spark and the breath work of the infinite purple spark. And this breath work allows us to check in throughout the day just by checking in with our breath. And then we check in with the infinite purple spark that we've created, that we'll learn through these sessions. And I've been utilizing it since it came to me last week, and it is skyrocketed it once again, which I didn't think could happen. I didn't think that this energy could reach another level, and it showed me another level, and it's been very, very empowering. And everything I read, interact with, it all points back to this, and everything. And things I even read long ago, or knew long ago, are starting to loop back in and tie back into this. And it's all creating this beautiful present for humanity and for all of us to unwrap and unfold and experience. And I am elated about this. I'm elated to be able to share it, because it's been so impactful on my life, impactful on others' lives. We've done some healings with it. I've been able to heal a friend, and help his son who had to have knee surgery on the recovery. We have, Devora, who's with us. We've been working a continual large scale healing on her grandson. And I don't know about all of the rest of you, but we had a little discussion about it. I definitely have seen a ton of progress and a ton of beautiful things. And then once again, the purple that's coming into him that we discussed before the recording of him being admitted to a purple room after this, and his whole room was purple, and these purple angels and purple that are just starting to become more and more prevalent. And I see it as this energy taking the opportunity to remind us of its prevalence, of its existence. And the more we interact with and play with this energy and acknowledge it and work with it, the more it rewards us, the greater it becomes. And then we then become broadcasters. We become transmitters of this energy, and we start emitting this energy out. And as we know, with the law of vibration, what we emit out, what our vibration is, that is what's going to return. That's what's going to echo back to us. So if we're emitting out this wonderful, beautiful, loving, healing energy, that is what our world's going to start reflecting. That's when it's going to vibrate back to us. And I like to use, I've used this a couple times, but the idea of two tuning forks. And if you had two tuning forks together and you only hit the one of them and got it close enough to the other one's going to start vibrating at that same vibration and match that vibration. And that's exactly how this energy works. That's exactly how energy works. And that's exactly the ideology behind, your inner world creates your outer world. The power um, the attract law of attraction, those type of things. You're putting that out. And one of these things, and I want to bring up a little bit of a quote from the shaman's book that I was reading, uh, talks about be careful projecting your energy onto others. Don't let your fear of a situation disrupt or disturb this energy. So say you are trying to heal someone and you put pity on them or you put these sorrows. If you were trying to heal or you were just got through a really tough situation, you wouldn't want pity on you. That pity is just going to remind you of the situation. It's just going to bring that situation back and it's going to breathe energy back into that life, back into that situation. And now you're just reintroducing that situation. This goes into all these different things. Also plays into the hermetic principles and the hermetic laws and the laws of vibration and how emotions are just different layers of that vibrational scale. They are the exact same thing. They are the exact same energy. Love and hate, they're the exact same energy. They're just opposite spectrums of and opposite different vibrations of those. So then we take that concept into these healings and we realize okay, when we're healing, we're not going to talk about the sicknesses. We're not going to talk about the illness. We're not going to talk about a flood. We're not going to talk about the catastrophe. We're not going to feed that energy. We're going to focus on the opposite. We're going to focus on that opposite end of the scale. So the vibration starts happening, and that vibration is what emits out. So then now these things start to match that vibration. Then you add that power of eight, and this is where the power of eight comes in. You start getting these focus group meditations, and you get multiple people focusing on the same thing. You amplify that power exponentially. Two people, they say it basically doubles itself uh, each time. So you get the power of one. Well, now the power two, you've exponentialized that by two, and then you get to the next one, and now you've gone to the power of four, and then you add one more person. Now you're at the power of eight, and you add one. That's how it's doubling itself each time. So now you figure you get into 10 people doing this, you're amplifying this energy by the hundreds, maybe even the thousands, and that's where these ideologies and these concepts all tie in. And that's what we're looking to do here. So we're combining the violet flame energy. We're combining that energy of this this infinite purple spark as it was introduced to me, and adding that in and combining it with this group energy, these focus and intentions. So that's kind of where we're at. That's just kind of a high level breakdown of where we've been. Uh, So with that, I do like to open it up to anybody that's already attended or has already started working with this energy. If they've had any experiences over the last week that they would like to share. If not, that is okay. Don't feel obligated to. But if you do feel called to, I do want to provide that.
I had an interesting thing happen actually this morning when I was just meditating and just working with the energy. And I just really clearly heard uh, stop hoping, because if you're hoping, then there's a possibility of a different outcome. And so stop hoping. What I heard is you're confusing the energies, and
Yes.
stop hoping and just believe.
And that ties into exactly kind of what I was going on in that quote.
Yeah,
And you are disrupting that energy. You're confusing it. You give pity. Well, now you're
right,
creating that energy of pity. You create or you focus on the sickness.
right,
You're compounding and magnifying the power of the sickness.
right. And if I'm hoping for a healing, I'm putting out the frequency also that there's a possibility of there not being one. I'm putting out a duality in my thinking by just hoping instead of believing. And
Yes.
do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, yeah, you have to
I'm not explaining it as well as it was
you
explained to me by the
you have
guides.
to embody it. You have to become
Right,
it. You have to
right,
fully believe in it so much that that becomes your reality.
right,
That is
yeah,
what you and that's where a lot of people fail at manifestation in these things is they just put it out in the world, but then they don't act upon it. They don't become
right,
it. They don't embody it. So
right.
when
I
you
just
and
hope this happens.
what's that?
what I've noticed personally is the strange thing is everything gets mirrored because there is no if something is either positive or negative, doesn't really matter. Everything gets mirrored. So if you hope for something, then that hope gets mirrored. So it
Right,
extends the hoping feeling.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a real contradiction because you want to think that if you think about something positive, then it should be then a result that you get that positive back. But that's not how it works.
right,
Everything just gets mirrored, and there's no distinction if it's a negative or a positive thought. Everything just gets mirrored, and you get the same experience back because it's all about energy and not about intent. And that
right.
is, yeah, something that takes a
Mhm.
lot of practice
Yeah,
to.
exactly. And it goes into that vibration. It goes into those ripple effects. What you're rippling out is going to ripple back to you. And it does. It takes a lot of constant reminder, especially at first when we're first getting, we have to retrain ourselves. Many of us have done this for
Hmm.
10, for all of our lives. We didn't know any different. So now we have to retrain the brain and reset those patterns. They say it takes like something like 50 times for you to do something repetitively for it to start developing and just become the start of a pattern for you to get comfortable with it. And then I know, Shelley, you've had your hand raised for a moment, so I want to give you an opportunity.
Okay. Actually, that was me. I just wanted to
Hey,
share. I'm
Ron.
Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, you guys. Glad to meet together with you guys tonight. And okay, I just want to share this, right? Purely the joy of growing in my understanding of what is this purple energy? What is this beautiful thing that happens, you know? And so it's kind of cool. I'll just take a I'll just give you a quick description over the last couple of years and then tell you about a dream I had this morning. So it's like this, like, say two or 2.5 years ago, I mean, I was kind of just entering into deconstruction, right? And so I was used to seeing different colors and I used to call these like cords of entanglement. My frame of reference would be like, oh, those are the seven spirits of God, you know? And for whatever reason, they're the seven colors like a rainbow. And I was very used to seeing that over the years, whether it was dedicated meditation time or whether I'm just driving around thinking about going to church tonight. And I'd be like, oh, there's a cord of entanglement telling me that I'm going to, connect with these brothers and sisters. And it's all what your familiarity is at the time. And so now, a couple years later, I'm a lot more used to seeing certain things, but with new understanding to it, right? So like many times I'll just be in a meditation or something and I'll shut my eyes and I'll just see that color like spill in and I'll be like, wow, that's the purple thing. That's the purple energy thing. and it'll be like there's something going on, and then I'm supposed to work with that energy, release it or send it or whatever. But the cool thing that happened is this morning was totally different. This morning in the early AM, I was having a dream and everything was kind of like in the realm that I call sort of like the angelic, sort of like angelic type light where it's real like fluid and whatever, and everything was made out of that angelic light. But I was like, I had this really cool office and there was a computer and the computer screen was totally purple. And like I instantly saw that and it made me realize that we're going to be programming where you can say the matrix or the layers of consciousness or reality have been programmed in ways that are against us. Like we're literally here to reprogram and be masters of the matrix. And I really think the purple light is part of that on the greater scale or the bigger picture of it. But purely like just the joy and the experiencing this purple energy is where you become familiar to the point where you're sound asleep and you're in a dream and you're like, okay, I know what that is. So I think it just grows in all of us the more we kind of just enjoy the process too, and just the joy of it all and to just begin to work with it. We don't have to figure it out, but just let your heart figure it out along the way. That's what I'm saying, you know?
I definitely feel that. And that's where I've been. I've let this purple energy guide me. I said, you guide me. You tell me where I need to go. Show me the path. And it shows me the path by the purple. Show me the people I need to talk to. And there's some kind of purple energy or some kind of purple situations. That's how I've met some of the people that are in this group right now is through that interactions. And it's acknowledging that energy. The more we acknowledge it, the more it gets felt and it gets realized. It's like, oh, okay, now you're paying attention to me. Now we can really get fun. Now that you're in this, now that we're interacting, now is when the magic begins. Now is when the real stuff starts happening, and then it starts unfolding. And once again, it's that compounding magnification, and it goes like this, and it unfolds once, and then each of those unfolds this, so now you got four unfolds, and then 16, and 32. It becomes, it just builds upon itself, and it's like a snowball just going down this hill, just growing, 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 and just overwhelming. And then doing it the way we're doing it with the infinite purple spark, it creates an unlimited supply of this energy within us. So we don't even have to worry. We can share it just however we want. We can share it with the desk that we're sitting at. We can share, and that's what the point is every single thing that we see is part of existence and is comprised of some sort of energy, some sort of something. So we start appreciating all those things. You create levels of appreciation. I was reading this in one of the previous books. I forget which book it was, but it talked about like when you're walking through your house, appreciate your couch for supporting you and giving you a place to sit. Appreciate your bed for giving you comfort and warmth. And then all of a sudden you start appreciating. I've started doing that around my house, and I feel that radiant energy just now generated within my house. As we started going and interacting with nature, I actually have a beautiful story that happened this week. I returned back to work after being off for 2 weeks, and it's been a rough one. 2 weeks was amazing, spiritually deep 2 weeks. So I'm going back into this matrix work environment, right? And I work at a university, so I'm kind of lucky there. But uh, it just changing, like I was getting sucked into that energy by sitting in the office. And once I was in the office, I was like, oh, I'm feeling it, like the negativity, like just something off. The vibe of the office is just, it's bringing me down. And so I went out. I'm like, I gotta go outside. I gotta go for a walk. I just gotta be around nature. And these are the same trees, mind you, that I have now months been interacting with and sharing this purple energy with, and giving them purple energy. And as we started in the first couple sessions, sharing the purple energy with them, putting it into the roots. And I literally walked past some of these trees that I interact with the most, and I could feel their energy. I could feel the buzz. Like my whole body started vibrating, and it just uplifted me. And all of a sudden, I just was smiling, and my heart was full again. And it gave me the energy through the rest of the day and today. And I was rejuvenated. And it was like it just reframed all my stuff, and I just appreciated them. I thanked them. And, I went to another place and there's more trees and plants that did the same thing. And I sat there and I just sat and exchanged the energy and enjoyed it for a minute. And then I thanked them. I said, thank you. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for providing that back when I needed it. And that is the joy of this process, is the more we share this, the more it helps us. And there's another quote that I wanted to share that exemplifies this perfectly. It says, the indigenous people know a great secret. Every time you send healing energy from your heart to someone else or something else, that arrow has 2 points on it, and the energy flows in both directions. This means that every time you offer healing to another, you receive healing yourself. And that is why the healers among us often live to be very old. And I just found that very powerful, especially because I've been experiencing it. And the more I'm experiencing it, and once again, here's another one of those synchronicities of things tying back into this energy and just completing puzzles and things that maybe I had just parts of before are now starting to become complete. And I'm getting a deeper understanding of it all. And it's just been such an incredible journey. And I guess before we jump into any things, I'm just going to call you Violet because I do not know. Or we could call you Jermaine or Mezcal.
Well, my real name is Jarek.
Jarek, I love it.
Let's just it's gonna maybe sound a bit strange at first, but let's imagine that everything has consciousness. That includes the chairs in your office, that includes trees, but they resonate and they vibrate at a frequency that we cannot perceive, but they notice us. However, there is not a connection established until you show appreciation to a certain object, meaning because you showed gratitude to those trees actually do recognize you when you come close, and they are able to raise their frequency so you can experience it. The analogy that I often use is, let's say you have an escape room and everything is programmed in a certain way to operate. Two people doing the escape room, one after the other, are able to have two completely different experiences because they're like a radio. Everyone has a decoder in their brain because there are many frequencies that we cannot actually detect. For example, the spiritual world is on frequencies that we cannot detect, but they're actually everywhere. Some people tend to tweak their decoder or their radio, and they are able to receive certain frequencies. And that's when people say that they have ringing in the ears, or it's because they're actually tuning into a frequency that they're normally not supposed to be able to detect. If I go into any place, doesn't matter which room, I can feel the room. I can actually feel how the room is feeling. So what you said about the office, that you felt, is because the office has accumulated all that negative energy that sometimes is around, a work environment. It's actually, even though it's beautiful to be able to communicate with locations, it's also exhausting when you have it everywhere. I seem to have it with, especially last few months, with other people. So if I go to the supermarket, everyone stops and stares and looks at me as if I'm in the Truman Show. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that movie. And it was really difficult for me to understand why everyone kept looking at me as if I'd done something to them. But that's something that all of you will also probably experience in the near future. The more you cultivate and accept that your decoder is a much better model than most other people, you'll start to keep improving that decoder. And people, it's like they say you have a magnetic aura. Everyone you come across will start to notice you. So be aware of that rock star feeling, because you're going to all feel like rock stars, because everywhere you're going to go, people are going to be like, there's something about that person. I'm not sure what that is, and that's because everything has to do with vibration. And the we are all chosen to actually be co-creators with God to change our reality, because the time has come to let's just say the world's been a difficult place, um, and many of us have, well, most of us have not been selected to co-create, but we are belonging to the group that have been fortunately enough chosen to co-create. So as soon as we master how to interact with the world, we'll be able to manifest almost instantly, meaning within maybe 10 minutes in thinking something, you can actually make it happen. And as scary as that sounds, that is going to be our new reality. And I would just say, be proud of yourself to be chosen and among the people that have been given the right and that honor to change our reality and make a better world for everyone. Because 93% of people will never be able to co-create. So look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of the person that you've become, because you've been chosen for a reason. All of you have a good heart, and unfortunately, a lot of us on this planet cannot say the same. So let's just make it a beautiful world, and I'm sure that we'll all live happily ever after.
Yeah, that goes along with that saying, like, make sure your energy shifts the energy of the room when you walk in. Like it should change, like it should adjust to you. I also noticed children and animals are way more in tune, and they're the ones that they're always coming to me, staring at me, staring, like they know because they're so much more in tune and in touch with that energy.
You'll probably
S-
also have a telepathic link with animals. For example, dogs and cats.
yeah.
If you just talk to them without opening your mouth, they'll hear you
hmm I
and they'll
find it
listen to you.
interesting too with the office because I was off for 2 weeks and not in the office. And I come back and the energy was darker and denser, right? Well, I feel part of that was because I wasn't in there to uplift the energy and shift it. So now I come back and then that's why I think I got hit with it was like, bam, I was like, ah, man, what is this muck, I know, Maureen, you said you wanted to contribute or share. I want to give you
Yes,
a,
yes. Let me start with. Yeah, so when I saw the post this morning in the group, and I was curious to know what this is, what's being talked about here, and from what I can hear so far, I resonate with the discussion because the experience that I've had the last 3 years of my life has been really intense energetically, and I didn't know what was going. It was really strange and weird. So I took my time to, to know exactly what was going on. And I ended up with, this must be spiritual because it was not making any sense. And some of the stuff that you guys are talking about here, I've experienced them. The healing, I'm a caregiver. I take care of the elderly. And, sometimes I will go to places and, take care of an elderly person. Maybe they're in the end stage, almost dying. And, and like the hospice has said, they don't have too many days left and all of that. And then I work there, we're hanging out, I'm feeding them, helping them with, with the activities. And, it's a month plus since the hospice said they didn't have too long. And everyone is wondering how come, and, they seem to have like, they had lost hope and the will to live. And suddenly, they're not in that mindset anymore. And You know, I went to another place and there was a lady who had had constipation for like almost 2 years. You know, she was on some pills that were helping her with the constipation, and she wouldn't go to the bathroom for maybe 2 to 3 days. And I'm there working for, I work for like a few days, and suddenly the woman is having diarrhea every day. Like, that's not how we've been giving constipation medication for 2 years. So why suddenly is she going excessively? Like, it looks like the whole thing just came out, and that did not happen one time. It happened a few times, and I don't know. So I realized that whatever was going on, healing was part of it. And I wanted to understand and harness the healing energy, because if it's going to help people and help me too, because I don't want to be sick. So, if it's, I was interested in that. And then, when you guys are talking about, like going to places and you feel like people are like knowing who you are or watching you, like that it really creeps me out, because I'll go to somewhere like a new town where nobody knows me, and somebody will walk over to me and tell me, I've been waiting for you. And I'm like, what? Like, no. So yeah, um, it's a lot. It's a lot,
Yeah,
but
this is. I know
I'm
exactly what you're feeling, but this is going to sound absurd to some people. But I'm not sure if everyone knows that the ascended masters like Saint Germain, but also Jesus Christ, they were healed by the violet flame. And if all of you also have been touched by the violet flame, that means that it's a matter of time before all of you are going to be prophets like Jesus. And we're going to be able to heal people with our hands. We're going to be gods on this planet. I'm being serious. Um, so some people that are believers, people are going to treat you as if you're Jesus. So get used to that rock star feeling, because it's only going to increase. Um, and we'll actually be able to also heal our own bodies, heal other people, just by focusing our attention. I've just put in the chat exactly why the color violet is the one that has the most influence on matter. It's because it's the shortest wavelength of all the colors in the spectrum. And that means that it's the highest frequency. So that's simply the reason that violet is the most powerful color and therefore most powerful force in our universe.
Yeah, the way it was presented to me with violet or purple, because I wanted to go purple because I'm going to expanding it past the one hue within purple, and to allow it, just because infinite purple spark, but um, is those are the colors of your higher chakras, your third eye and your crown chakra. You got your violet and your lavender energies with those. It is also, and when a lot of this came together, there's a lot of division within the world, and it was presented to me that purple is the color of unity. Because when you divide things, usually they go into polarities, and a lot of times those polarities with our worlds are divided into red and blue, or red and blue energies, or the red and blue, red versus blue, always, always, always. No matter where you Crips, Bloods, Republicans, Democrats, I know, and there's the red and blue. I forget what they're called in the UK, but the two divided parties. So when you unify, what happens when you combine red and blue? You get purple. It's a color of unification. It's a color of higher consciousness. It's a color of chakras, or of your upper chakras. It's a color of love, of healing, of compassion, as Kuan Yin showed me. So there's so many beautiful things that tie into it. But then I don't know if Tina, I also want to give you a chance to say this because you did put it in the chat. But if you're not comfortable speaking, I will put your talk about the different seven rays and the different colors. Okay. So Tina in the chat, I know she's feeling a little under the weather, so she may not want to speak. But she said for herself, and she's confirmed with
Yeah.
herself. Oh, did you want to do it?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just a little nasally. Sorry, y'all.
All good, all good.
Okay. Um, so yeah, so the seven rays, it's the rainbow thing that it goes back to what Ron was saying, right? How he sees all the colors. And so each energy usually associates with the color. And that's kind of like how it happens in the beginning, at least my understanding is. And now I don't see as many colors, but more it's a feeling in my heart who I'm like who I'm sitting with. And normally you can feel a color. It's not always seeing a color, it's feeling a color. And the rays are associated with the ascended masters. And like if you, so I sent a list, posted a list on the field today about the ascended masters that talks about the rays, and each, if you look through that, have time to look through that, you'll see each ray has a color, and
Mhm.
that those ascended masters are associated with that color. So depending on who you're working with, there could be more than one violet flame, not the flame, but there could be more ascended masters associated with the violet color, or the white, or the yellow, or the
Yep.
blue, or whatever. But it's where you set your intention of who you're sitting with, what energy you want to sit with. That's that's what you'll get. So that's how you can sort of decide who you're getting your guidance from. When you're in your meditation, or what, or however you connect, I guess would be a better way to say that. So that's just from my own experience, and I'm still very new at all of this. But Mother Mary has been like one of my primary guides, and she always comes in blue. And Saint Germain, he does come in violet. And Jesus comes in gold for me. So all those colors, if you look at the rays, and you can find that anywhere on Google. You can just Google the 7 rays. It'll come up, and you'll see those colors are directly affiliated with those ascended masters. That was all I was trying to say with that. Just if you want to do your own research, though.
Well, and I find it interesting that you have the 7 rays of light and you have 7 chakras, and you can associate all those to the different things. And once again, boom, loops coming back in and tying back together, creating this beautiful present for us to unwrap. And as Jarek said, and stated by Devora, Yeshua said, "No, you not that you are gods." And that comes through like the saying of saying, "I am God." Depending on where your level of consciousness is, some people could see that as arrogance, or some people could see that as unity and understanding. Because you say, I am God. I'm not saying I am God, I'm above you. I'm saying I am God, you are God, we are God, everything is God. It is all God. Or you could be saying, I am God. And there's a whole difference there, right? There's a power struggle there. And that's where I'm coming with, and I've been introduced, is things that come from power and struggle and division are not of higher consciousness. Those that come from unity, love, and those are the things that you can associate. And when you start identifying these traits, it becomes really easy to navigate the world. It becomes really easy to start avoiding these traps and these things. And then you just naturally start steering because your vibration is there. So now you're aligning with those things. And it's the truth of the matter is we all are creating our own reality. Every single one of us in here, every single person in the world creates and experiences reality in a different way. We manifest our own realities. And so we can live in a world without these atrocities or certain things, some people say it's callous, but this goes back to not focusing on the negative of things. When people are talk about, and then when I talk about positivity and things like this, and coming from positive and admitting it, people are like, well, there's people dying, there's kids dying in the world. I said, there probably is all over, but where? I mean, every single state, every single world, every single country, things are dying. It's a natural thing of life. So what is me focusing on that? How does that help them any? How does
But
that change their situation at all? How does
Actually,
that heal them?
that's their contract. That's those people's contract.
Well,
That,
exactly. And that's the callous
yeah,
part, or some people could see as callous there, is that is what they signed up for,
acceptance.
because they
Yeah,
have to, there's those lessons that they need to learn. So
right.
us also trying to come in and alter that, we are taking away their lessons from them.
That's right. Yes.
And
exactly.
Right. Yes.
No, nothing really dies. The energy just goes back to the source, and then it gets redistributed in a different way.
Right.
It's I think what's really important and what my soul mission is to let the world know the complete story. Because, for example, the seven chakras, it is correct, but there are actually 15 chakras.
Yep.
And
there's
I
actually
can,
more if you go into galactic and subatomic Earth chakra. So there's an astronomical amount. There's
Yeah.
15 main associated ones if you go up to the soul star, and but sorry to interrupt, Jarek, but
no, no, no.
yes,
Well,
exactly.
it's also, I think, finding the balance between not overwhelming everyone with too much information. So I think we need to find a new balance where people are more aware of how everything actually works, but not overwhelm them, because yeah, it can get really, really deep and complicated.
Yeah.
The same with spirit teams, and everyone has their ancestors with them. Not all your ancestors. It depends if your ancestors have signed a soul contract to be on your spirit team. But for example, guardian angels, they exist outside of time and space, meaning that if you call upon one of your guardian angels, they can actually show up. But because they don't have to abide by the laws of time, they can also be at 20,000 different places at the same time. So if you don't accept that time is a construct that only our brain experiences, then you'll never understand how it can be how that an angel is at many places at the same time. But everyone has a spirit team, and everyone has people that are rooting for you and that are actually just usually just sitting next to you, but they're emitting a frequency that you cannot detect, and they know that. So they're just chilling next to you, but they know you'll never be able to see them, but they're with you, and they communicate with you in ways that they are forbidden to communicate with you in a way that's intrusive or that's obstructing. So they have to find ways to communicate with you by things you're already perceiving. And that's why they communicate by making you notice certain number sequences. Everyone has heard of the angel numbers. Whenever they make you see a certain sequence of numbers, they're basically, what they're saying is, I'm with you. We're here.
Same thing with that purple appearing in my life. And since I've started playing with it, and now all of a sudden, like I said, flowers. I didn't realize I had there was probably 50 different flowers at my work on my campus alone that are purple. I didn't even realize there's that many purple flowers in the world. I didn't even know really care about purple. And so this energy got introduced to me, and now it's everywhere. And I see it as this energy, this source reminding me of its existence, reminding me of to refresh me. And then the more I continue to acknowledge it, the stronger and more beautiful it becomes. So I do want to be respectful of everybody's time here. And I love this conversation, but this is a conversation that I feel could go on for an eternity. There's just always more contributions to it. So I would love to continue this conversation in the Facebook chat group. If you guys are not a member of that Facebook chat group yet, put your name in the chat and I can add you into it. I think I already added you, Maureen.
Yeah.
So I do want to kind of shift now into the meditation part. What we're going to do first is I'm going to do just a quick guided walkthrough of how to create this infinite purple spark within us, and the breath work involved with it. So then we can take as homework utilizing this breath work. It's great because all you have to do is one breath. And when that one breath, and you're doing this cycle that we're going to introduce, and this infinite purple spark within you, and you're using the breath and following it, it checks you right back into that energy. And it's been very empowering. So I'm going to start with that. So we can do that and empower you all with your ability to start playing and creating this. And then we usually like to do, and how this originally incarnated was a healing of some sort. So we then combine the power of eight. We do a focus healing. I will put up a picture that we can all focus on, and we will all focus on that same thing. Whether it was in the past, it was Devorah's grandson, and sending healing energy to them. And we did, when the massive storms was in the Pacific Northwest of the US, we did a healing to take that energy and dissipate the storms. So with that said, I also allow the energy to guide me to what needs to be healed if we don't have any suggestions. And I don't know how many of you are familiar what's happening in California currently, but Southern California, there is a probably one of the most devastating fires in United States history, completely annihilating and eliminating and wiping LA and Southern California off the planet right now. You have homes that are reduced to ashes. You have people that are trapped, videos of people trapped in their homes that surrounded by the fire because they didn't get out in time. So I thought we could focus. So what we'll do the guided part, and then we'll flow into this focus meditation where we use shamanic drumming and some didgeridoo to invoke this trance-like state. We go into an 8 minute meditation. I set a timer and it's just set for 8 minutes because anybody can take 8 minutes to do this throughout their day. So we take 8 minutes and just focus solely on this. And we're going to put this picture up. I'm going to put up a picture of some purple rain coming down on the planet. So focus on rain, focus on water, because that's another thing is they're reporting firefighters are tapping into fire hydrants there, and there's no water coming out. There's nothing. They can't combat the fire. So we need to provide them with water in any way. So if we create and think of water, we think of rains, think of purple rains coming down and helping to extinguish these fire, but focusing on the opposite of what is needed, not fighting fire with fire, we're fighting it with water to extinguish it. We can have a huge, huge impact. So that's kind of where we're going to go, just to give a heads up. So we'll go ahead. If nobody has anything else they want to jump in real quick, we will go ahead and get into the guided part. So we'll go from the guided part, and then as I end, we'll just kind of flow in. I'll share out my screen, and we'll flow into the focused part where we're just going to focus on sending water to Southern California or anywhere that is burning right now. I don't want to isolate it to just California because there's fires everywhere. There's fires in other places. Anything that needs water or places of severe drought, anything that needs water, let's focus water goes to the places it needs on Mama Gaia so we can help with maybe some more emphasis on places that are being devastated right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Get yourself just into a nice, comfortable, supported position where you are fully relaxed, but you're still fully supported and in your being and in your essence. And then just start allowing the breath to kind of just fall into its natural rhythm. And as we're doing that and allowing the breath to just kind of settle in, I want us to start envisioning those things that make our heart sing. The things that bring us the most joy, the most happiness, that just make us smile and feel just unconditional love. And allow that thought to start manifesting within your heart center and your heart chakra, right in the center of their chest. And as it grows, it's this little spark of energy and it just continues to grow and get bigger. And you notice that it's this purple spark of energy that's just kind of growing within you. And as you breathe in, just allow it to kind of feed into that energy and just allow these emotions to really come out and empower this energy so that it continues to just expand within your energetic body until this energy just completely fills your body up and you're just filled with this radiant purple energy just flowing through us, just becoming your entire energetic body. Feel the bliss of these thoughts, feel the bliss of these joys that fill your heart and make your heart sing. Allow it to just kind of relax the body, relax the mind. So now that we have this radiant energy within us, we have this purple energy manifested within us, it's full of joy, it's full of love. We are going to start creating what is called, as introduced to me as the infinite purple spark, which allows us now infinite access to this energy. So to do this, We are going to start at the root chakra, right under our root chakra. And then as we breathe in, and just follow the energy as it comes up the right side of our body, breathing in up the stomach. And then as it comes to the heart, allow it to start to cross over the center of the heart and come over to the left side of the body, up the left side of the chest, and then continuing. We're still breathing in, following the energy up, breathing it up to the top. And then it's going to get to our crown chakra, just above our crown chakra. And then we begin the exhale. Allow the energy to start just flowing back downwards along the right side of us now, down the chest till it gets to the heart center, and then crosses back over at that heart center again to the left side of our stomach as we continue to exhale, and then it flows down, connecting back down to the root chakra. So on our inhales, we're inhaling, following the energy up from the root, up the left side, crossing over, or up the right side, crossing over the left, up over the crown, and then exhaling on the way down. So if you really start to envision this energy flowing, you realize you've created an infinity symbol within that encompasses your entire main chakra system, your first 7 chakras, your physical chakras. So exhale, you relax, release, allow it to flow down, flowing down the right side and crossing over. So now it's crossing over, it's intersecting at your heart center, and every time it crosses over, it creates another spark, infusing more energy into this. So now we have this infinite loop of purple energy flowing through us. And the great part now is we've now tied this to our breath. So anytime we want to remember or remind ourselves of this purple energy, all we have to do is stop and take one breath. One breath up the left. Continue as you breathe in, up, crossing over at the heart, up or up the left now, sorry, on the left chest, over the crown chakra, and then exhale, continuing back down. And just keep doing this for a couple breaths. The in breaths, we're rising up. The out breaths, we're relaxing and flowing down. And just get into a nice, steady flow of fluid energy. You don't want to extend your breaths out too long. That starts to exacerbate you and introduce confliction into the energy because you want a smooth flow. So allow your breath to just align with the flow of the energy. In goes up, and then exhale back down. Now that we have this beautiful, infinite purple spark created within us, we will now go into our focused meditation of envisioning rain and water reaching the places it needs it, with specifically in mind Southern California and the fires that are decimating that area. So let's get into our trance state. And remember, you can fully let yourself go because you have an 8-minute timer that will start now that will bring you back. So just release and focus on sharing that energy and sharing that healing. Oops. Sorry about that, guy. Wowzers. Oof. Ah, that was a good one. Chime always comes so quick. So I usually like to ch- take the time now, kind of share experiences. And so for me, I envisioned first, sitting and then kind of this energy, this purple energy, just dissipating out from me up into the sky, and just kind of started flowing and radiating up, and like just little bubbles of energy, kind of just dissipating out from me, and it started swirling up in the sky and starting forming clouds, purple clouds. And then I realized that there was other energies coming from it, and that was all the rest of us energies coming up, this purple energy flowing up and forming these clouds, and the clouds coming over these areas and beginning to just rain, just wild amounts of rain. And then it just visions of someone had discussed how the about 8 years ago that the city flooded down there because they had so much rain and so quickly. So it was almost that same thing. And then I got a feeling or a remembrance of when I went on my honeymoon to Hawaii, and it was during the massive California droughts, 10 years back. And we went to Kauai, and we were outside, me and my wife, and it was like 6 in the morning, and it just started raining on us. And we were standing out there in our tank tops and our shorts, standing there just enjoying the rain on us, laughing, and people thought we were crazy. And I just used that joy and allowed that to fill me, and it just empowered the purple energy more and just charged it even further. And then I envision myself like as one of the firefighters, and then feeling out there battling the fire, and then feeling the rain come down on me, and just looking up to the sky as it washes the ash off my face and cools my body from the intense heat of these fires. And I just looked up and just enjoyed it and just laughed and smiled, and it invigorated me again to just charge back in and start fighting that fire and just really refocus on it. And then the chime went off, and here we are. So that was my experience. I would love to open the table for anybody else. Tony Ann shared in the group chat that, or in the chat here, that she saw all of us standing in a circle, which is that's interesting because that seems to kind of be a theme with these healings is these healing circles. So she saw us standing in a circle around that scorched ground with the rain falling down upon us. One thing that we also notice with these focused meditations is the synchronicities and similarities between our visions. We have right now we have 12 different people that probably saw 12 different things, but if we were all to share, there's probably some similarities in between what's happening, and that's that power, that's that connected, that's that unity consciousness, that's where this power comes from. So um, Tony
Um,
said she also saw air and water dragons present, which is good. Luciana said she saw many people with their arms up in the air while it was pouring, almost similar to like, yeah, like I was like just letting it rain down on me. And I think I interrupted Maureen. I think she was going to.
so I just envision the purple energy coming from my heart, and then I sent it to the clouds over there in Southern California. And then, I asked it to pour as much as rain as possible to get rid of the fire. And then I also asked God to help us. Yeah.
So you asked yourself and all of us to help
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful experience. I think Jarek came off mute. Does he have?
Um, my visualization is perhaps maybe a bit too weird to share right now.
Nothing's
Um,
weird.
well, true.
Nothing is weird.
That's very true.
Uh,
Well, it is interesting how Source can obviously read every thought that we have. And that's why Source doesn't, the rules that we live in this world, Source thinks that that's the rules that we wish to have. That's why how our education system and everything that we're taught as children keeps our world the same, because that's, how we're taught this is how the world works. But if we manage to just think something different, if we were to all think of the fact that there are now flying unicorns that are real, and every horse can fly, then Source will make horses fly. And that's the strange thing. It's the same how in the Native Americans used to do rain dances. They would, dance in a circle, and they wanted to make it rain because they actually believed that that would work. It would actually work. But it didn't have anything to do with the dance. It has to do with, if enough people have a certain thought and belief, then Source, like I said before, will mirror that and just make it happen. There are absolutely no limitations to what we can, visualize. And that's why we're all encouraged to practice our imagination and our creativity. Because the better we can start visualizing and thinking about things that don't exist yet, the prettier we'll be able to make this planet. Although I'm not sure which thresholds we have to overcome to make all the tangible differences that we want, but it's all about our creative minds, what we think we can create, and we should all just practice that and get really good at it.
So you just blew my mind, Jarek, in such a good way, because the book I'm reading, The Raw Contact, Teaching the Law of One, and the part I just was going through today, almost like perfectly like what you just said was like in there, and how enough of these, like, because they were talking about how they built the pyramids, and well, how did you move the pyramids? How did you move these big stones? Well, we used the energy, and we used consciousness, and we used this. If you understand it, you know that these thoughts can do these things. But if you're not of these vibrations, and if you don't have enough of that collective energy, you're not going to be able to do that. And it was almost verbatim with what you said. And I was just sitting here listening. I'm like, wow, I just heard this today.
I'm not aware of all of my past lives, but I am aware of a couple. And one of them, I used to be a seer for at the Temple of Isis. So I used to, in that lifetime, teach people that came to pray at the Temple of Isis about how they could connect with the spiritual world. Because my ancestor, or in my previous life, that is what I did. That's why I'm assuming right now I'm starting to remember all those things, because what all of you won't know is that up until 2 years ago I was an atheist, and I was actually very scientific, and I didn't believe in anything other than science. I've had a pretty difficult life. And 2 years ago, I reached a point where I just didn't want to continue living. And even though I didn't believe, I fell to my knees in my garden, and I prayed up to God. I thought to basically die, because I didn't want to go on anymore. And that's when Source spoke to me, and that's when my life changed. But up until 2 years ago, I was just going through life thinking that we only live once, and there's nothing more, nothing else. So the past 2 years have been a pretty big roller coaster for me. But I mean, just the beauty of realizing that we're going to have this amazing future, because this was prophesied 6,000 years ago that this was going to happen. The devil, because there is no real devil, but but when we talk about the devil, we're talking about each and every one of us that's searching for materialistic things and in pursuit of um, uh, just listening to lust desires. That's what is meant with the devil. And he reigned for 6,000 years, but it was prophesied that it would come to an end now. And that's why we're the light workers. We're the ones that are meant to have us transition into the next phase. Um, but for the ones that aren't sure yet, that does mean that we're probably going to be immortal in our current lives, and we're going to be able to heal ourselves, and actually even regenerate, and make ourselves younger if you want. So it's really, for someone like me, that's really scientific. It's been really difficult to grasp everything, but now that I do, I'm just realizing how amazing the this upcoming 2 years is going to be, because it's in 2027 it's probably going to be complete.
Hmm.
It's
So
amazing too, because there's more. He said it's prophesized, and it's prophesized in more than just one space. There is so many prophecies converging currently. Everywhere you turn, there are so many prophecies, so many astrological things, so many spiritual things that are all coming to a head right now. It would be naive to think that something's not happening, that the world's changing.
Hmm.
And the more we can reflect on it, the more we can see. I can reflect even just from yesterday and see how much the world has changed from the beginning of the year, from last year, how much has changed. And one of the beautiful things to start my year this year is my wife has always been more of a pessimist. And recently that's been starting to change. She's starting to do things. And so New Year's Eve, clock strikes midnight. We do our kiss, and she looks me in the eyes with the most genuine, happy look on her face, and she says, "This is going to be the most amazing year we've ever had." And for he to hear those words come out of her mouth, just even saying them again, just invigorates me. Just like wow. And it just when you have people that are naturally pessimists, they're starting to see these things, they're starting to have hope and starting to believe, and then watching how much it's starting to change her life as she starts to integrate this more, and not forcing anything on her, just allowing these things to be around, and then radiating this constant positive energy throughout my household, and how it's affecting her, how it's affecting my kids, how it's affecting people I interact with. It's just impressive.
Gaia is going to force everyone to have their spiritual awakening this year. But what the difficulty is going to be is the ones that are really far away from a spiritual awakening right now. Those people are going to panic, and
And
those
that's why we're
people,
here.
and exactly those people are gonna realize that they're gonna see us all as angels, and they're gonna flock to us because they're gonna be terrified of what's happening. And that's what I meant with prepare yourself to feel like a rock star. You're gonna have people coming to you for help, being absolutely terrified about what's going on. Um, and that's why we've been prepared beforehand, and we should keep preparing and realizing that more and more people are going to have their awakening this year, because it's going to be forced upon everyone, because
Hmm.
everyone is going to be given the chance to join the light side. Everyone.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yep. The way I'm seeing it too is, and the way I've started teaching or discussing through these sessions and everything, and really my motto, become the blueprint. Show the world how it's done and that it can be done. And if you
Hmm.
do that and you do not let yourself waver and you do not let that be distracted and you just do it, once again, the tuning forks, and you're vibrating at this level and you walk into a room with a bunch of other tuning forks, they're all going to start vibrating. And one thing I read recently is the higher vibration always wins out. Always. It's scientific. For you, Jarek, in the scientific thing, higher
uh,
vibration always wins out. So if you have a higher vibration, if you're vibrating in love and you walk into a room that's full of negative energies and lower vibrations, you are going to be what shifts that room. Like I said earlier, be the energy that shifts the entire damn room when you walk in.
in the beginning, the first few months, I was constantly telling myself, what would Jesus do? And how, I know it sounds silly, but you're actually constantly having to act like Jesus because we're all going to be Jesus-like. Um, and just think to yourself, how would Jesus handle this situation? And then you're going to be fine. We're all little
And
Jesuses.
it could tie, that could even extend out to any of the ascended masters.
Of
Any,
course.
all of them. All Jesus
But most
is
people
just
don't know
another.
Saint Germain.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Jesus is just an ascended master. And his teachings, it's so amazing how his teachings get so twisted and people get so confused by it. He tells in his teachings, the power, the kingdom of God lies within you. You are the Christ. The conscious Christ consciousness is you. The return of the Christ is not the return of the physical Christ, it's the return of Christ consciousness to humanity and us reconnecting and remembering who we truly are.
But the thing is, there's a lot of people that when you say something like that, they can't grasp what you're saying, and that's why I'm working on different ways of teaching people like me how a way that they can, because I would have dismissed you in the past if you said something like that. I would have be like, all right, whatever. It's the only reason that I now know it's like that is because Source has made me see things that were impossible.
Right.
Because there's been there was about a period of 2 months where I was in contact with Source, but I was thinking actually I was going insane, that I was getting schizophrenic, or that I was really just going insane. And after 2 months, Source was getting kind of impatient with my stubbornness, and was like, okay, Jarek, I'm done doing it the hard way. Let's see what you think about this. And then my reality changed, and things happened that are simply not possible.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, he was like, "So, you're still a non-believer now?"
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the
when
cat got
you
my tongue.
when you witness magic firsthand, you cannot deny it anymore. And I've witnessed it way too many times to deny it. That would just be denying myself, denying reality, and denying the truth because it is, fact. And when people combat at me, I don't even blink an eye anymore. Like if they reboot, and it's like, okay, that is your understanding, that is your reality. This is my reality, Or if people call me crazy, well, if this is crazy, I don't want to be sane because I am more happy and more blissful than I ever been in my entire life. So call me crazy and I'm going to live it and I'm going to love it. And I release all those judgments and I release all that energy of people judging me and I don't care. And I will talk about, this stuff, just like I said, I would never, a couple of years ago, probably not have had these discussions in open air conversations. Now I don't care. I'm going to talk about this stuff to anybody that will listen. But you also have to be very careful with your words, as you stated, because you cannot disclose too much information that will twist someone's brain to a detrimental place, to where it hurts them. So you have to be very cautious and very communicative and listen and allow them to ask the questions. So when they will ask the questions when they're ready, and then you can provide the answers. And I've started incorporating that with a lot of, I have a really close friend that I work with, um, who's starting along his spiritual journey and things, and I had to learn this with him, and I had to learn this with my wife because I was so excited about all this stuff. I'm just blasting them. I'm like a fire hose at them. I'm just about to hear all this. This is crazy, and they're looking at me like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, "Oh my good God!" Or I've blown their mind, and I get this blank look in their face. I'm like, "Oh shit! You guys got me started. I'm sorry. I get excited, and I just went on a tangent here, and I blew him off." So now I had to start letting them ask the questions, and so let them dictate how the conversation's going to go and what I release and what I discuss. Because I have you provide too much of that information, you're going to overwhelm a mind that's not ready for it.
That, or I'm not sure if you're aware, but negative forces are also real. And what happens is everyone that has unresolved trauma is a conduit for negative energy. And what can happen is that you're talking to someone and you can say something that triggers their trauma. At that moment, you can see a shift in their the way they look at you. That's because they're not behind the steering wheel anymore. And dark matter, which is transferred into dark energy, takes over control. Basically, what happens on a biological level is their survival instinct kicks in, and their central nervous system, the fight, flight, freeze, becomes activated, and that in turn turns off their empathic part of the brain, so they can't show empathy anymore. They lack a lot of emotions, and that's why you describe those people as like acting like demons, but that's basically because their brain is in survival mode, and it's meant to let's say an animal is walking in the forest and it sees a fire, like you said now in California, then biology says your survival instinct has to kick in, and to know what you have to do the opposite of what you've been doing. So if a boar has been walking towards the fire, survival instinct gets triggered. Okay, he walks the opposite direction, and that's why when people are triggered and the survival instinct gets turned on, they say exactly the opposite of what they should be saying. So they say the most horrible things. It's the same narcissistic behavior is basically the survival instinct that gets activated. And that's why they do the opposite of what they should be doing, say the opposite things of what they should be saying, because that's basically a switch has been flipped. And the only cure for that is to realize that they're not being themselves. Their emergency system has taken over. And that's why everyone's saying love everyone, because even people that hurt you, I mean, I've been abused by my own mother my entire life because she had narcissism, and that's because of trauma she endured in her youth. So because of that, she was unable to show me any love. And the only way for me to heal myself and her from that is to forgive her for 21 years of abuse. And those things are the hardest to do, to realize that every single time that someone has hurt you in that way, it's actually not been them. It's been their trauma taking over the steering wheel. And that's why we should show everyone love, because the ones that are not showing love are the ones that have been hurt and traumatized and damaged.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Don't take anything personal, because it's not them.
That's
Basically.
exactly that's the shift that needs to happen in the world. And this is what we talk about when we talk about love, when we talk about forgiveness, when we talk about compassion, when we talk about unconditional love. You can have boundaries, and you don't have to allow those energies to infect yours. Or even better yet, maybe you're at a level of transmutation and mastery that you can take that energy on, so then you can transmute the energy and release it back out to the world. I've also started doing that every time I release any stagnant energy within my body. When I'm doing my qigong, or I have a crack in my neck, or I'm releasing energy, or I have an emotion that I don't necessarily agree with, I accept the emotion, I acknowledge the emotion, and then I transmute the emotion before releasing it out into the world. Because if I just release that emotion out in that dark, negative form, it's going to go out and either infect somebody else or reinfect me. So if I transmute it to love, it doesn't have an opportunity to reinfect anybody, and it changes everything. And then we change the vibration of it all. Ron, you're on mute. Oh,
Okay, unmuted. Um, yeah, I really think, Brian, that you summarized it pretty good, similar to what I was going to say. And then I didn't catch the name of this guy, the Violet Flame
Jarek?
Society guy.
Jarek.
Jarek,
Jared.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was Jared. But hey, Jarek, you know what's really cool, man? I've been kind of observing this phenomenon with trauma my whole life, you know, long before I had any concept about any of this consciousness stuff or whatever. It was just observing people in life and how they react with trauma. And um, without going into a long story, like I've been through a lot of it too, and we've all have in different ways all had our own trauma experiences. But one thing I've learned is this is like when you do see people kind of go into that escalation mode, um, I've learned sort of a natural, my own survival thing or my own thing is this is like the minute anyone becomes escalated, it's like I go into like where time stops and I just become calmer. And that's just purely from being around a lot of trauma stuff. Okay. But that wasn't what I was, my main thing was really more going with the compassion, kind of like similar to what Brian was saying. And what I'm finding is this, um, as soon as I began to outgrow my urgent need to share my spiritual truth, like I fully get just as excited as anybody, man. I'll go into a store and be like, blah, 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 if I'm not paying attention, and I'll just totally blast people that are not ready for it. And that's purely in my own way. That used to be my own immaturity, you know. But I don't really see it as like, oh, I'm such a bad guy and I screwed up or whatever. I see it as all of us are learning every day. So where I'm at with it now is really beautiful because even if you just look at the last few years of deconstruction, it's like I went from essentially I had all these people that I had grown to love over 10 or 15 years in all these different churches. And I would just be like, oh, certain ones are more spiritual ones. And then I would kind of feel closer. So I kind of had, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, man, I'm pursuing what is a new creation, and I'm going from talking to Yahweh and Yeshua, and we're going into some new areas here, and I'm getting the full green light, and I'm okay, and I'm like, I'm pursuing what is this Christ oil all about? After all, Christ means the anointed one. So it's all about oil and energy and the golden Christ light. So here I'm going off in new directions, and all my church friends are just going, what in the hell are you talking about? So, like, it was very lonely for a while. But what I'm really finding is this, okay? Um, the more that if I find anybody that's willing to talk about a variety of spiritual things, it's a sincere joy to me, and I've kind of gone into a listening mode more now lately, um, where I'm sort of growing in my ability to just let that person be them. And I'm just comfortable being me. And then there's like a new compassion that's opened up where it's like, it wouldn't matter if somebody was telling me they're a Muslim or if they're a real heavy duty Christian with the Bible going too hard. It wouldn't matter. It could be like, I'm all about science and you guys are crazy because you love Jesus. It wouldn't matter because um, I'm really fell in love with the fact that we don't have to debate these things anymore and we can embrace each other. So like, here's a perfect example, right? In my lifetime, I always thought I was such a spiritual guy. Then I kind of like heard about Jesus as a kid, and then I went really overboard. I will be the first to say I had a lot of spiritual pride, and it wouldn't matter what church I go to because nobody's prophetic enough and nobody's spiritual enough, and and so here's me just kind of marginalizing myself with my own attitude, keeping myself out of the loop, thinking that they're not being friendly to me. So how do you like this? After all those years of thinking I'm such a spiritual guy, and then the last few years, I'm like, man, I'm okay to let go of some of my ideas about Christ and let go of some of my ideas about how it works. And so now here you come into the picture and you're like, hey, you guys, I've been really deep in science. And like you've had this big chunk of your life where you've had that pure concentration to explore science. And now you're like this guy that's like fallen in love with this whole new spiritual angle. And I think, you know what? There's a better chance that we could be friends just because we have such a cool opposite background, but yet it's all going in the way of compassion and love. So at the end of the day, um, I don't have to figure anybody out, man. I'm here to learn and grow and bring my energy the way that I'm shown. And the more I let other people be who they are, the more I have peace and I can kind of build some bridges. I don't have to go throwing, I don't got to blow up all the bridges anymore, proving something anymore. I can just be like maybe the kind of love that was meant to be the whole time. So I'm just putting out the friend invite to you, buddy. You seem like a cool dude, and you can contact me anytime, talk about cool stuff, because that's what I'm all about. And with that, I pass to whoever has a burning desire to share. That's what I got.
I just love the oil and the anointing of Christ because I don't know, I think it's the colostrum. I put in the, I think it was colostrum. It's the oil, the fluid within the spine. And that's where they say Santa Claus, like the theory of Santa Claus rising up the chimney. It's the rising of the colostrum of the spine, the rising or the Kundalini energy, as some of us may know it. And that you're actually rising up and squeezing up and pressing and getting that oil. And once it hits and sparks up at to the base of the brain, it opens it up and it bursts open and it blows out. And
It
it's that
actually
oil.
interacts with certain types of crystals in the pineal
Yes,
gland.
exactly. Yep. Yeah. It activates the crystals within the pineal gland. And that's your Kundalini awakening. That is the scientific explanation of your Kundalini awakening. It's also what Joe Dispenza kind of touches on in the Becoming Supernatural books and how you are with the meditations and with the breath work, you're squeezing and you start at the base of the spine, you kind of just start squeezing and you're squeezing this oil, you're squeezing this energy up. You're kind of forcing that Kundalini and through the breath work and through this energy, you can create your own Kundalini awakening if you haven't had one or many or multiple, like some of us have.
Yep. It's going to be exciting times.
I am very, very excited for what's unfolding. Those of us that see with not the two eyes on our head, but the one in the center of our brow, know what's coming. And I think all of us have that insight, that third eye.
But it's there's also going to be really difficult times. I
It
mean,
depends on, well, if
I can
you
get a
manifest
pretty
that.
extreme example if I may. My previous girlfriend, for example, I had no idea that she was abused by her previous partner, um, and she physically assaulted me um, because she was actually projecting the experience that she had to go through because that's what I bring out in people. I bring out their traumas, and the only way for me to change that situation was after she was hitting me was to just hug her, um, and that's even though I'm glad that I learned how to deal with those kinds of situations. I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy to hug a person that was hitting me, um, because you can do physically the hugging, but you have to actually also feel the love, which was pretty difficult while you're getting hit. So, and this is an extreme example, to obviously, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be more difficult things that we're going to encounter. Um, at least that's what I'm going to count on, so I can at least prepare for it. Um, but I'm not sure if any of you have noticed that with some people that have really big unresolved traumas, you tend to act as a mirror and bring that to the surface in them. So because I've had happened to be a mirror for almost everyone, I've been in isolation for about 5 months now. I lost everyone in my life because everyone that I had, friends, family, I would see the worst in them all come to the surface. Um, so this is the first time I've actually really talked to a lot of people because I've been in the desert for a couple of months. And I wanted to say, Brian, thank you very much for hosting this, because Source directed me towards you, and I realize now why. This has been a really pleasant change of environment for me. So thanks.
Well, you're welcome here, brother. You have
Yes,
family. Here we are.
you have found your tribe, and you brought up an interesting point. A lot of us that are here to save, or not save, a lot of us are here to guide and help because we can't save anyone. They can only save themselves, as we know. Uh, have gone through massive traumas, so we know how to transmute that energy. You've been through traumas. You knew how to transmute that energy. You hugged and you transmuted. You said, nope, we're not going to do this. And you changed the situation. And that is why we are here. This is why we have awakened. This is why we've gone through the trials that we've gone through. So we know and we are prepared for what is to come. Because it could be either complete chaos. It is the apocalypse. We will say it straight out. It is a scary word for some people that do not understand the word apocalypse. But the apocalypse is not the end of the world, is not the end of existence. It's the end of an era and the rebirth of the new. It is the ending of a cycle and the rebirth of the new cycle. We are at the end of the Kali Yuga cycle, another massive, celestial spiritual event. There's so much, as we talked about, that ties into all this that is going on right now.
That's the modern day
Yep.
alchemy. We're all alchemists,
Yep.
and we transmute energy.
Yep.
And instead of using gold and
Mm.
those kind of things, we have to transmute negative energy into positive energy.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
beautiful thing is the more we do it and the more that we infect others with this energy, the more now troops we have in the army, so to speak, to help us out. And that's why I love just going out and there's a meme out there that this is how you change the world, and you have a bunch of people that are like, they're just like stick figures or just crudely drawn, and they're all like dark gray colors. And then this one person walks in and he's bright yellow, and he walks in and he like gives one person a hug, and it like they start to light up and they turn yellow, and then that person gives that, and then they start infecting, and then all of a sudden this whole crowd of gray people that was all depressed and sad and woe is me, the world is a disaster, now was happy and uplifted and empowered and realizing and having hope again. And that's what we do. Provide the blueprint, provide hope, show them there is a way, show them there is happy. But he's just so sickeningly happy that they're like, what is wrong with you? But then they think, I kind of want to be like you. Like, how do I get to that level of happiness? How do I get to where I'm unfazed? And you got to practice it. You just got to keep doing it. And there's tons of people out there that love to talk about it, but they're luckily a growing number. They're actually doing something about it now. And thank every one of you in here and everyone that's been participating for being part of that, for partaking, for actually taking the action and actually being and walking the walk and becoming these blueprints.
We are the generals in the army of light, and we are
Indeed.
the first generation, and the rest is going to follow us.
Yep. Well, one of the most beautiful things that I see with the battle of light and dark is, light always extinguishes dark, right? If you have a room of darkness, you turn a light on or you turn a flashlight, it's going to extinguish that dark out, right? A flame doesn't have any shadow. The light doesn't have any shadow, right? It doesn't have any darkness. I mean, there's darkness that still exists, but it's been able to transmute that darkness into light.
It took me a long while to understand then what is this darkness? If there is no real evil, what is this? And it took me quite a
Polarity.
while before I realized that dark matter is the source of dark energy, and dark matter is everywhere.
Mhm.
So basically, where there is no light, it just automatically gets filled up with dark matter and dark energy. And because we're all beings of light, it used to be that dark matter or dark energy could not, live in us. But every single unresolved trauma is like an open wound that dark matter or dark energy starts to live in.
Sure.
So we basically, what we have to do is just heal everyone's trauma, and then we'll be fine. But that's easier said than done, because I've been in situations where I have been the only one in a sea of traumatized people, and I've been unable to make a dent. I was,
And
yeah.
that's where this work is coming in because we can't fix them. We can't change them. We can't do they only they can. So if we go in trying to feel like, oh, I'm gonna go heal these people. No, you're not. And you are gonna fail because they have to do it. We can show them how to heal themselves. And then that becomes a less daunting task. Well, let me roll back a little bit. We can heal them, but is it extremely depleting to our energy? Because we're now utilizing all of our energy into them to heal them. But if we teach them how to heal themselves, we don't deplete any of our energy, and now they become an ally in the fight.
Exactly.
Also, it's like 10 times, but not even 10, a million times more powerful when there's more than one, when you're
Yes.
not by yourself. So when two or more come together, there I am. Remember that from the Bible. Um, it's so the power is in the community and when working with others too.
Very, very much so. And the more we grow and the more we connect through these communities and these sessions and these things, and once again, most of you, not mo well, a good handful of you were introduced to me because of this purple energy. You know, I knew actually the only one, I think Shelly and Maggie were the only ones that I knew before this purple energy was introduced to me. This purple energy guided me to every single one of you.
Um, I was um, I was told I've made a really good post on Facebook where someone was asking about her relationship and narcissism, and I responded to it, and I got really a lot of people thanking me in the way I phrased it or answered it. So I wanted to paste my response there and get your feedback on it, but because I see all of you as enlightened as me, so I'm kind of curious what you guys think of it because I'm working on different kinds of ways to show people how to handle difficult situations in relationships and stuff. So the
I do want to correct one little thing you said, though, because you said we all are as enlightened as you. Well, every single entity on this planet is as enlightened as the next person. We are just aware of it. That's the
well,
difference.
then maybe I'm not using the word enlightened properly. English is my first language. Sorry.
No, you're doing great.
But what I meant is everyone here is aware of the benefits of the positive
Okay,
energy.
there,
And,
yes, yes.
so the post that I placed in the chat is an anonymous user that she did that posted that message, and then I'll post my response to her. But I can only use 1,000 characters. I see. Okay, so that's my response is going to be in a few in a few separate posts, and I'm really curious how if all you agree or if there's parts of it that you don't agree with, because I can't just listen to everyone on Facebook. But here I have I don't see this as an echo chamber. I see this as an a real chamber where people can discuss. Um, let me see. Yeah, it was a pretty lengthy answer. Sorry. Um,
Oh, yeah, that is going to take a while. So I'm going to make this suggestion. Can we throw this into, I'm going to add you in. Would you like to be added into the group chat on Facebook? Like you can either just message me directly if you don't want to put it on here, and continue that conversation there because I do actually have to I have to start wrapping this up and start getting the kids ready for bed and doing that stuff. And this is going to be a conversation that I'm going to not want to just brush over. This is a conversation that I want to make sure I give the appropriate, energy to. And because this is something, but I don't want these conversations to end here. That's for sure. Let's expand on this and let's utilize the chats. Let's utilize these sessions. We can have other calls if we need to, but um, this was a pretty long session.
Jarek, please do join the messenger group he's talking about, because I would like to read that too, but I don't think we have the time to dig
Yeah.
into it now.
I would love to. No problem.
Do you want me to add you as your group? What is it? Because I'm in your group on Facebook, but
I'll send you another message on.
okay. I'm gonna end up stopping this recording though, real quick, just unless anybody has anything else they kind of want to add in for the session. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for participating. Not only the ones in person and live, but those that are watching the replay and just participating in this wonderful energy. It's greatly appreciated. As we've been talking about, this is definitely what is needed right now. So very, very grateful for every single one of you.
Thanks, everyone, for having me.
Thank you.